Over the last 14 years in our agency, where we've helped 400 or 500 clients do well over $300 million in revenue, there's one area of their marketing that we spend a lot of time focusing on that we have to help them avoid some critical mistakes in. And that area is in the area of email marketing. And in this video, I want to share with you 5 of the top mistakes that I would love for you to check and audit in your business with your email marketing so you can avoid the mistakes that we help clients fix at our agency so you can continue to grow and scale your business with email. As we jump in today, there's a lot of talk about all of the changes happening around privacy and reach, whether it's on social media and algorithms where you can't get your posts seen by as many people anymore, or whether you're talking about SEO and the things changing with AI overviews. And heck, even in ads, the ad platforms are changing every single day, and we have a lot of turbulence going on in these changing times. We are definitely in a period of transition, and that does not exclude email marketing. Right now, in some of our recent audits with our clients, we are noticing that AI is changing the way emails show up in inboxes. Rather than you being able to put in a preview text, AI is putting in its own preview text from the email provider. The AI is reading the email ahead of time and putting a little snippet of what the summary is of that email without you noticing. So now if you're sending emails, there are 5 things that we think you've got to be doing to make sure your emails are still effective. And we still believe that email is the number 1 asset in your digital marketing mix. It's not your social media following. It's not how many people click on your ads on your ad platform. It's literally how many people will stop and enter their name and information in your world and become a lead and become a part of your CRM or your sales process. So let's dive right in. Mistake number 1 is a mistake that we see that is an old way of thinking about email marketing. And so many of you are very conservative with your email list, and you think we don't have to send that many emails to stay top of mind with our prospects. And I'm here to tell you, we talk to clients all the time, and they might send a newsletter once a month. They might say, well, we'll email our list once every quarter, and very often we'll see it even once a week. And what I'm here to tell you right now is that because our prospects are in a mode where they're very distracted by a lot of things going on, we're a big fan of emailing more than we are emailing less. Now, before we get into this, let me be sure we understand something. I'll talk about it in the next couple of points, but we're not talking about emailing your sales message more every single day. We are simply saying that it is more important today to stay top of mind with that prospect because you just don't know where they are in the buying journey. And if you don't stay top of mind, they're going to buy from someone else. Mistake number 2 with email marketing right now is just thinking of your email as an educational channel and not thinking of it as a sales nurturing channel. And when we think about it in step 4 of our 6-step playbook, we think of it as educating to sell, not just simply educating to stay top of mind. You know, one of our clients has been doing email for a long time. They've got a very large email list. The problem is that email list is used to receiving educational and helpful information, but there's never a call to action to buy anything in those emails. And so by mistake, they've conditioned that email list that we're not selling you anything, we're just sending you free information. And as time goes on, you'll realize that that can hurt your conversions over time. So while we do advocate education in your email nurturing sequences, we also want to blend in the other 4 types of emails that go into a nurturing sequence. And that's not for this video. We've got a video on the channel somewhere where I can point you to and link it up to in the description, where you can watch that video on the different types of emails we put in these campaigns. But be careful not to over-educate without an emphasis of letting people know that you're there to solve their problem with your product or service. So mistake number 2 is doing too much educating and not selling. Mistake number 3 is pretty obvious. It's the opposite of what I just said. It's doing too much selling and not enough educating. So Darrell, you just said we've got to educate in the email and then push to a sale. Well, some of you are making the mistake in just only sending sales emails to your prospects. You know, when a prospect comes into your world, you don't know exactly when they're going to be ready to buy. Presuming your lead generation mechanism met them at a point of pain, you do want to educate them to the next steps to solve their pain. If for whatever reason, they are not at the point of pain where they've decided to solve their problem, you don't want to just send sales emails and sales sequences over and over and over again, right? You've got to balance the opportunity of presenting your offers for them to buy with information that'll help them make the buying decision. But sometimes people do one or the other. In mistake number 2, too much education, not enough selling. In mistake number 3, too much selling, not enough education. You've got to find the balance of both. And we have a methodology and a formula for how we do that so that it's not irritating. Because again, if someone doesn't want to be sold, they will just unsubscribe from your email list, and then you'll lose the opportunity to sell them in the future. So email marketing, still very powerful, but don't make the mistake of doing too much selling and not enough educating. Mistake number 4 in email is not inviting that prospect to the next step in the journey to buy. Now, the next step may not be asking for a quote or a consultation or clicking the buy button. The next step might be an invitation to get clear on how their problem could be solved by your business. The next step could be them learning about how someone like them solved their problem with your product or service. So there's this invitation, we like to call it. Like, instead of it being a call to action, we like to say invite them to another step in the process. So if for whatever reason someone has visited your website, and I'm just going to kind of make this up on the fly, someone has downloaded an assessment. They've maybe taken an audit, or they've downloaded a white paper or an ebook. Well, what could the next step be? The next step could be inviting them to read a case study. The next step could be attending a webinar. The next step could be following your live cast monthly report on YouTube. The next step could be subscribing to your YouTube channel. So you've got to think about what would be the next step that would help both educate and position us to sell that is reasonable for the place that they were in their journey. And a lot of times people get very impatient and they say, yeah, everybody said email is good, so let's just hit them. No, well, then they say, oh, well, let's just educate, and they'll just buy when they're ready. No, there's a balancing act. We want to take someone from where they were at their point of pain and nurture them through to let them know that there's relief in sight. And here's the next step that you can take. So mistake number 4 is not inviting them to the next logical step in the process. You got to be patient, you got to map this out, and you got to understand clearly your buyer persona. And step number 5 with email is something that I get a lot of pushback from. And that is, when you are making an offer, it is very important to include a deadline. It's very important to include a deadline. When things are on sale for Black Friday or Cyber Monday or Cyber Week or Cyber Month now, because that seems to be spread out these days, they put a deadline on when you're going to get that price. They put a deadline on how many products are available. And some of you are like, well, Darrell, I'm in a service business, so my service is available all the time. Well, you can think about deadlines, not facetiously, of course, but you can think of deadlines in a couple different ways. In our agency, for example, we put deadlines on our contracts, meaning when we send out an agreement for you to work with us, we put a 30-day expiration on that agreement. What that does is it says that if you're not ready to move forward, that's fine. But in 30 days, the agreement will expire and you will have to re-enter the sales process again, because we might be changing our price soon. And in today's market, now that we're sitting in a place where we don't know what tariffs are going to do and we don't know how the economy is going to be affected, I don't want to have that contract sitting out there for 2 years if they decide to sit on it. Another thing you could do is, if you're in a business where you can maybe only take 5 customers that month, maybe you do custom renovations, maybe you do custom videography, maybe you do custom wedding planning photos, maybe you do custom roofing, whatever that might be, you might not be able to take as many customers as who could buy that month. So you might need to say that the deadline is, if you sign up by this day, you can be one of the 5 customers that we're working with this month. So I'm not here to figure out all of the deadlines that you use, but there is something in human psychology that says without a deadline, people will pass. Without a deadline, people will pass. You know, I remember growing up, and just a funny memory in my mind, and it's just a grocery store analogy. And it was something funny because I delivered papers as my very, very, very first little side hustle. I think I was 13 or 14, and I was delivering newspapers, and I would deliver the papers. And on Wednesday, the paper was especially large, not Sunday. Sunday's paper was the biggest, but Wednesday's paper was especially large because all the coupons and all the mailers went into that paper. And that paper put things on sale. All the stores put everything on sale from Wednesday to Tuesday. At least that's what it was back then. So people were looking for those coupons so they could go in and get their three cans of green beans for $1. And they were going in there trying to get their 2 loaves of bread for $4. And so people would want those coupons. Well, guess what? Those were deadlines. And I know that's easy to understand, but this is something that we often miss in the human psychology of the buyer's journey in our products and services. Sure, we might not be products businesses or commodity businesses, but I will tell you that there should be some sort of deadline, which means Do it by this day and you get this benefit. Don't do it by this day and you might not get that benefit. Those are some things that we see in email that could be extremely important. Here's another interesting deadline, and that is just a price juxtaposition. A price juxtaposition could be a form of a deadline, which means if you join by or if you sign up by, you get it at this price. But after that, it becomes that price, the same way you think about in the grocery store. So no deadlines is one of those other areas that we think in our email campaign conversion model, in our 6-step playbook, we are always talking to our clients about how to tweak their email marketing to get more effective results. And in their case, results means conversions to the sales process. Once they've gotten into your world, how do we get them to become a customer? So let's review those 5. Number 1, not sending enough emails. Number 2, in those emails, you're doing too much educating and not enough selling. Number 3, you're doing the opposite. You're doing too much selling, not enough educating. Number 4, you're not taking that prospect on the next logical step in the journey, even if it is to not buy right now, but the next most logical step. And number 5 is not putting deadlines in your emails when you're making your offers. I want you to think about these 5 mistakes. Think about the one that you're doing today. Think about what you can be doing to improve. And if you do need some help with improving what you're getting in results for lead conversions in your email, there are 2 links beneath this video. You can take a look at either one of those, choose the path that makes the most sense for you if you so choose. And if not, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next video, and take a look at one of these. There should be one here or maybe there if my team did it right. If not, I'm not going to be mad at them.